How does one introduce a legendary artist? Well, you try to keep it brief because you want to talk to them, number one, but you want to do them respectful justice. Let me list a few achievements. Trust me, there are many. Pioneering MC during hip-hop's golden era, 80s era. Iconic album, Paid in Full in 87. 87 and 92. 3 more albums, Follow the Leader, Gold. Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, Don't Sweat the Technique, 97. Solo album, The 18th Letter. Has a book out, Sweat the Technique, Revelations on Creativity from the Lyrical Genius. From 2019, 2024, his 4th studio album, God Network Rebirth. And he was just recently, in May, honored by Johns Hopkins University with the George Peabody Medal, he's the first MC to actually receive that. Other dignitaries include Quincy Jones and Ella Fitzgerald. He's going to be inducted into the Berklee College of Music Hip Hop Hall of Fame, much deserved, next Thursday, November 13th. Welcome to Studio 889, the God MC Rakim. Thanks and blessings to you, man.
Hey, peace and love, my brother. Thank you.
Hopefully you're doing well today. So since you got your start in 86, as you quoted, or are quoted as with a melody and a president's mix, you influenced plenty in hip hop. Who were your influences in music? I mean, your signature cadence and delivery style. Was it a rapper or musician that you actually kind of said, wow, I like music, I want to jump into it because of them?
Well, I have a lot of people that inspire me, musically, and I was able to, I guess, show that in hip-hop form, you know what I mean? But it's a wide list of artists from John Coltrane. I kind of created my style around the way he plays his sax and improvises, you know what I mean? So I owe a lot to that brother, man, for inspiring me to go out the box with different styles and different cadences. You know what I mean? But I listened to a lot of music coming up. Thanks to my mom and dad having a good ear. You know what I mean? So everybody from Quincy Jones to Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5. And plenty more. And then in hip hop, I salute Melly Mel, Grandmaster Cass, Kool Moe Dee, the whole movement, man, when I was young, listening, man. So, I was able to have a nice understanding of music, man, by the time I entered hip-hop.
Very cool. And you mentioned Quincy Jones's name, and you just recently got an honor from Johns Hopkins University with an award that Quincy got. What did that make you feel? How did you feel like knowing that you got something that Q got, one of your idols got?
Oh, man, it's very humbling, you know what I mean, to know, in that field right there, I'm mentioning the same breath as him. You know what I mean? His accomplishments and what he brought to the table as an artist and producer is incredible, man. So, he was always the measuring stick when it came to trying to make records. And, then once I got heavy into producing, you just kind of, again, use him as a measuring stick. We can't add what, or we can't match what he did as far as, R&B and jazz in hip-hop, but we can still use him as, the measuring stick.
The two of you ever meet in person in real life?
No, but we spoke. And I went to the studio, did some projects with his son, QD3.
Okay. Yeah.
And, man, just, met his family when I was at the studio with Q. I just felt the energy of being around the family, man, and in the same studio that he worked in and things of that nature, man. So, just always inspiration.
Very nice. Chopping it up with the God MC Rakim. Now, your technique going back, let's go back to 86 again. You were just 18, doing Check Out My Melody, and everybody else around you was doing a kind of different style. LL was different, Run DMC was different, but yet you realized, you said, nah, there's something I can shift. I mean, I'm very impressed with the fact that you were able to do that shit, but you were so young. How?
Yes, sir. 17, 18. I think I wrote the melody when I was, early 17. And I met Eric B a little bit later. Yeah, I was incorporating all of the different styles of music I heard. Jazz was very very key in my style, man. Again, listening to a lot of jazz in the house as a young kid, I started realizing that the timing was different. It wasn't like R&B 4/4 time that I was listening to. You know what I mean? It was real complicated. So once I realized that, when I started writing rhymes in 4/4 time, it seemed plain to me. knowing all the different and intricate styles and rhythms and intricate, syncopations and things of that nature. So, I started incorporating all of that into my writing, man, and it definitely showed that it stood apart from what was going on.
Yeah. Now, coming up, you almost didn't jump into hip hop. You were almost you were going to be an athlete, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's funny, how things go. You know what I mean? I'm about 5'8", 5'9" with Timberlands on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think I made a good choice, man. But I was playing quarterback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no doubt. I was playing quarterback, and my cousin played for Stony Brook, Long Island.
Okay.
And he put a good word to the coach and to the coach for me. And, I had an opportunity to go there. So I was working out hard before I met Eric B.
Uh-huh.
And another reason why the melody was made, I said, when I go to school, I know it's going to be a bunch of MCs in the hallway. And, if I'm playing football, I got to stay focused.
Yep.
So I made a cassette tape, and on one side was the melody, and then the rest of it was just me rhyming, over break beats and things of that nature. So I said, if I get up there and I see that going on, I'll just play my tape, let that speak for itself, and stay focused on what I got to do.
Which was football, right?
And,
okay.
You know what I mean? I was focused. I was ready, man. But a friend named Alvin Tony knocked on the door with Eric B. One night. And the rest is history, man. But
we're thankful. We're thankful.
It could have been different, man. But again, man, I think I made the right choice.
I'm pretty sure you did make that definite right choice. Rakim was going to be honored by Berklee College of Music for their Hip Hop Hall of Fame. When they actually reached out to you, can you describe how you felt knowing that they were going to give you this honor?
Very humbling, man. Starting off, early in my career, of course, the object was to be amongst the best, but, I had no idea that, that would happen. I had no idea that people would resonate to my work like they did. And definitely had no idea that I would be getting accolades as such, man. So it kind of helps me put my art in perspective, and all the time and all the things that I sacrifice, and it's definitely well worth what I went through, man. So it's definitely something that's above my imagination. That again, man, really put things in perspective for me and let me know that I was doing something good.
Word. The God MC Rakim inside Studio 889. Now, hip hop, as you know, hip hop recently celebrated a milestone, its 50th anniversary in 2023. You've been a part of hip hop for almost 75% of that 50-year history. When it was an infant, then growing up through all those years, and now it's 50.
Bro, making me feel old.
No, well, you're young. You know something? You're actually a lot younger than people actually realize. Because when they hear you, when I first heard you, I'm like, yo, whoever this dude is, this older gentleman, he's deep. And then I realized, I look at your date of birth, I'm like, yo, I'm older than him. How is that possible? I'm a 65 baby, so I'm like slightly older. But I was like, yo, he's just got like an older soul. Have you always had that kind of outlook?
Yeah, people always told me that, man. I remember my uncles and aunts used to always say that to me. Kind of, coming up, once I got in high school, man, I kind of slowed down and tried to find myself and figure out what life was about, man. I used to, a young kid, I was getting caught up in the wrong things, getting in trouble. And I think I was just trying to, settle down and do what I was supposed to do. Was tired of disappointing moms and pops, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think I learned kind of quick and matured quick. Kind of got all the craziness out my system when I was young.
Okay. I mean, when hip hop was starting out as an art form, did you see the potential to reach people, or how did, you first encounter this thing called hip hop? Did it have that name? And did you say, well, I don't know what it is, but I just want to attach myself to it?
Oh, no doubt. Like, I remember early when hip hop started, taking the hood by storm. Like, that's the way I always explain it, because it kind of, came through in like the same week. everybody was up on it. Everybody was enthused about it. You know, if you couldn't rap, you know, you wanted to DJ. If you couldn't DJ, you wanted to break dance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, graffiti artists started popping out the woodworks, and you know, you seen, you know, how it, you know, it gave us, you know, like definition, man. You know what I mean? From, you know, what we was doing, how we was dressing, you know, it kind of, you know, came before hip hop, but it, you know, hip hop made us be a little more expressive. You know what I mean? From, you know, the shoestrings, or, you know, the way we wore our clothes. Like, I seen how it was, you know, taking over the hood, man. And myself, you know, luckily being, you know, in music or listening to music, you know, growing up as a kid, man, I felt like I fit right in. So from DJing to MCing, you know what I mean? I thought I could do the little electric boogie and all that, you know what I mean?
You danced too? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you know, again, man, everybody was just trying to be a part in any way that they could. You know what I mean? It kind of defined us, you know, as young kids, you know, as far as like, you know, this is who we are, this is what we represent.
And I'm sure you felt culturally connected to one another because of that, and that was good for everybody.
Indeed so.
So hip hop has evolved in lyricism since you blessed the mic. Artists like Rhapsody, J. Cole, Kendrick. Are there any other young cats out there that you like that we should be put on game? Yeah, man. I like the younger movement that's going on with the, you know, with the boom bap MCs, you know what I mean? Everybody from Conway to Benny to Crooked Eye, 38 Special, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's time to lean back on, you know, what makes hip hop the best genre in music right now. You know what I mean? I think even the younger kids coming up want to get a little deeper in the lyrics. You know what I mean? They starting to realize it's not a old style. It's a form of expression that you know gives music substance, man. So, you know, again, man, I think they see the lyricism more as the art form now, man. So I'm looking forward to see what the younger generation is going to do and where they're going to take it. Word. Chopping it up with the 18th letter. I actually recently got a chance to check you out at Newport Jazz Festival, and I was like, this is exactly where hip hop should be. So thank you for that, first and foremost. Hey, man, thank you, man. Shout out to my man Jazzy Jeff. He always told me, like, we've been working on music together, and you know, he sees, you know, where it's going and where it should be as far as, you know, like the older culture of hip hop. We have to make sure we still facilitate music that we enjoy. You know what I mean? And there's no disrespect to, you know, the younger generation, but we have a certain preference, you know, when it comes to music. And I think, you know, artists like myself should still facilitate that, man, so that you know, our audience is still there. You know, we need something to listen to, you know, as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, big up to Jazzy Jeff, man. He got a vision that we trying to bring to the table, man, with some music that we working on. So hopefully, again, man, we facilitate that, you know, for the older generation of hip hop. More seasoned. And we got something for the young. We got something for the young brothers too. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? But, you know, again, like you said, that Newport movement, man. You know, we really enjoyed that, and we want to, you know, keep that vibe moving, man. So since you're working with Jazzy Jeff, you know, like the next logical question is when the album coming out, as you would say. Is there? Yes, sir. We're going to try to get it out early next year, man. You know, I'm looking forward to that, man. You know, some new music and just, you know, let people know, you know, how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. Thank you for that. You are definitely one of one, and in the world of not just hip hop, but music. The music world recently lost another innovator, a one of one in D'Angelo. From one of one to another, did you ever get a chance to vibe to his music, meet him, ever check out a concert of D'Angelo's? What was your impression of him? Yeah, I was able to meet D'Angelo when he first came into the business. We had the same manager. Oh, no way. Yeah, a brother named Kadar.
Massenburg. Big up to him, man. Cool brother. And he was also dealing with Erykah Badu. Yeah, man. So I was able to meet them early, and both amazing artists that changed R&B. But D'Angelo, yeah, man. Like, I loved his music. G. Very talented cat, and wasn't scared to push the envelope, man, and think outside the box. He wasn't doing what the norm was at the time, as we all can tell, man. Everything from brown sugar to we'll be all right, and I can keep going, man. Hell of a artist, man, and to get the news, man, it really hurt. Another brother going way before his time. We brothers like that. We wish that we can still hear them in the future, man. And see what they would have done years from now. So, big loss, man. And, somebody that I loved as an artist, love his music.
Did you see a little bit of him in you? Did you see a little bit of, your energy in him as he was doing his early work?
Yeah, he had that laid back confidence with him, man. You know what I mean? And people used to say we favored each other with the nose and things of that nature, man. But, yeah, man, it's like at that time, in hip hop, and me, myself as an artist, I was starting to get comfortable with who I was. You know what I mean? I don't dance much. I don't run around on stage. I used to feel I had to compensate for that. But that was around the time where I was, getting comfortable with just being me, man, laid back. And I said to myself, well, if I'm gonna be cool, I gotta be as cool as I can be, man. So I definitely seen that in him. And again, man, he changed the landscape of R&B in many ways with his music, his fashion, and his way of confidence, man. Word up. I think a lot of the upcoming R&B artists after that realized, like, yo, you can be you, man, and you can be as different as you want to be, and outside the box, and give us something that shows us who you are as a person and an artist, man. So again, man, big up to my guy.
Word. How were you able to keep your lyrics have like the metaphysical as well as the street interwoven in such a way that they just fit, seamlessly? How I'm always very curious about that. When I was just listening to some of your music, I'm like, how does he do this blend both together?
When I first got Knowledge of Self in 85, I would incorporate what I was learning in my rap. I felt that, I was what we call a newborn. I was just getting knowledge of self, and I didn't want to use it in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Hip hop, at the time was, we was known as hoodlum musicians, like hoodlum music, they called it. So I didn't want to incorporate it in rap. Friends started asking me, yo, why don't you, incorporate? I was like, again, I didn't feel it belonged together, man. But as I started studying more, I realized that, it was just giving me a deeper understanding of life, profound understanding on, things that we go through every day, or sometimes things that we don't think about at all, man. And I realized that I had to start incorporating, what I was learning, because, I was, becoming what I was studying. So that's who I am now. So I started incorporating it slowly to the point where I was just trying to, put little jewels in here and there, to the point where, people wouldn't notice it too much. Only the people that kind of understood it, they can grab it and use it. And then the more I started writing, the more I was reading, the more I was understanding things a little deeper. And it just started to become a way of writing, to put the information in where, again, I wasn't trying to shove it down people's throat, but just give them something to look at, and maybe, look at life like this, or maybe look at this situation a little different, or maybe look at what we doing, and you know what I mean, and see if we can do it better, man. So it just became like one of my techniques to try to put as much information in songs as I could without making it seem like I was preaching.
Thank you. Chopping it up with Rakim. You're back in the studio because you said that what you're doing right now, and you're producing some new music. There a different process, dare I say, technique to the Rakim process these days versus back in the day?
No, I basically use my same process sometimes. My manager laughs at me because I'll go all the way around the world to go across the street type of thing.
Okay.
So, well, always putting myself, in a hole, man, and making it hard for myself, man. But, that's the way I love writing. It helps me to make sure that I'm expressing things in the highest form, if that makes, sense.
Yes, it does.
So sometimes it takes me a minute to, I'll take a thought and stretch it as far as I can, again, make sure I'm using it in the highest form possible. But it's hard work, but the results, when I get the results that I want, man, it kind of makes the process all worth it, man. But yeah, man, same process. I always try to advance my style, but same technique and kind of the same format.
Nice. My last question deals with something you were recently at with another icon, George Clinton. I actually saw 2 videos of GC. He was actually reciting bar for bar at a conference and I think at his house, Follow the Leader.
Yes.
And you were in the audience one time. What did that feel like to have a genre icon recite your work and your verse for verse flawlessly?
That's one thing that blows my mind, man. I grew up sharing rooms with my older brother, and his favorite artist was George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, man. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was young. I didn't really understand it. Parliament Funkadelic was very unique and way out the box. Yes. You know what I mean? But the more I heard my brother play it, the more I understood it. But just growing up in that room, man, like my brother had Parliament Funkadelic album covers cut open, plastered on the wall, whatever he can get.
The posters,
that said Parliament Funkadelic. He went to the concert at Madison Square Garden, climbed up on the side of the speaker. He had this the Parliament Funkadelic hand sign. He made it out of wood and put some glow in the dark paint on it. And when I met George, he remembers seeing my brother on the side of the speaker because the security had to grab him because he had this big wood glow in the dark Parliament Funkadelic hand sign. You know what I mean? So the history is bananas. And when I met him, man, it was crazy just talking to him about that. Hung out with him with my brother, and my brother, quoted every song he ever made, man. So, just the camaraderie that we have. But what's dope about the verse is one day he told me, he said, when I go on the road, I make my band, quote, follow the leader. If they can quote, follow the leader, then I take them on tour. If they can't, then, they got to stay home till they get their rhythms and they, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. So, just incredible, man. You know what I mean? That to this day, man, every time I see it or think about it, man, it blows my mind, man, to, have that happen, man. Big up to George, man. I love him. We just honored him in the Paid in Full Foundation. We also honored Quincy Jones, and we gave George Clinton the Quincy Jones Award. You know what I mean? So, it was a real special night. Paid in Full Foundation. People can check that out, Google that, and see what we doing, man. We trying to do big things for artists and give flowers that some may have not received.
Yeah, you can share about that organization. I don't mind if you want to describe it for people. That's cool.
Yes, man. It's something that we do, again, man, for artists that may have not got the flowers we feel they deserve. We donate money to them. We give artists $500,000 to, help them do whatever it is they need to do. If it's, to help them with life, or if they want to get back in the studio, or if they just want to put in, whatever they want to do, we try to, again, man, give flowers to artists that paved the way, changed the game, and inspired many, man. So Paid in Full Foundation, check it out, and, everybody can become, part of it by just understanding what the movement is and supporting it.
Then go to paidinfullfoundation.org or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man. Can't wait for you to get your flowers, your continuous flowers for all the good works that you do, both on stage, behind the scenes. The mic's definitely still smoking. You're definitely not joking. Very special thanks again to Rakim. Thank you, man. He came in, to kind of alter your lyric a little bit. We tried the Zoom, but we actually got to the phone, so that's all good. We appreciate you either way.
Sir.
So if you have room in your audience, if you have time in your schedule, make sure you check out Berklee College of Music Celebration of Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Are you going to do any performances on stage?
The dean told me not to tell nobody.
Okay. I thought I'd get an exclusive. It's all good.
Yeah, but I think we got a nice show, man, prepared for the people from everything to Boston, roots, Boston home raised, iconic people to myself, man. So thanks again to Berklee, man, for this prestigious award. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna show my love when I get there, man.
Very cool. Can't wait to see it next Thursday, 8 p.m. Berklee College of Music, the Performance Center. Thank you again, God MC. Peace, brother. I really appreciate you.
Peace and love, man. Thanks for the welcome, man, my brother.